Hello and welcome to this special feature on Waves Film Bazaar with Creative First. Our guest today is filmmaker and director Nikhil Mahajan. Nikhil, it's a pleasure to have you.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
What first drew you to filmmaking and how did studying in Sydney influence your approach to cinema?
So I come from a place called Sambhajinagar. It used to be called Aurangabad first. And there's no access to any world cinema or anything of that sorts there. So the primary, cinema that I accessed was Bollywood cinema. And so that's what I kind of was brought up on. And my family is not really from the films, so but everybody really loves watching films. So there was a lot of like watching films in the theaters when I was growing up, and that kind of led to like this intrinsic love for storytelling. And then when I decided to pursue it as a career, my parents were like, "You have to do it. If you have to do it, then do it the right way." And they expected me to study and get a degree. So I went to Sydney because that seemed like the best option at that time. Um, and it did influence my storytelling in a big way because, while the film grammar is the same everywhere, um, it did give me access to a lot of different cultures because my classmates were from various countries and I got to understand a lot of different cultures, how people think, how people consume cinema. So, in that sense, it really, really helped me.
Pune 52 marked a bold debut. Looking back, what lessons from that film continue to guide your work today?
I think just one lesson it is that is to just follow your heart. I think when you're doing your first film, you don't know that this is a business, and you're not your decisions are not driven by the commercial ramifications of a film. But that kind of fearless approach is something that I still try to imbibe. Is to not let the market dictate the kind of film that I'm making, and that is the only lesson that I go ahead with. I think everything else is a learning.
Godavari was deeply personal and went on to win the National Film Award and Filmfare. Congratulations on that. What
Thank
did
you.
that recognition mean to you?
No, it meant the world. Basically, not because I'm looking for these awards, but I think it really meant a lot for my parents because they are, like I told you, they had nothing to do with the films. And yet they allowed me at that young age to pursue this kind of offbeat career. And I think, in a way, that national award and also the film fairs were for them the validation I think that they seek out of this choice that I had made. So I think for them it really mattered, and of course it helps to have those achievements behind you because it changes your perception in the industry. People take you more seriously. So yeah, it means a lot to me, and I have like extreme gratitude for these things, to be honest.
As a filmmaker, what are your views, on the various mediums on which now content is featured, right? From theatrical to broadcast to online curated content platforms. How do you view these? And, when you're greenlighting a film, are there any specifics that, okay, probably you want to just make it for digital? How do you view this? Because the world actually is an oyster, isn't it, when it comes to
Yeah.
content?
Yeah. See, I think it is both a boon and a bane, to be honest.
Right.
A boon because now you have various options to, you know, make your story reach different audiences, and the bane is the same thing that you have too many options. So it is kind of, it can get very confusing. It can get very problematic. It has some pitfalls like the attention span of the audience is going down. Their reluctance to come to the theaters sometimes for smaller films. So there are pitfalls, but that said, I think while I approach my films, I try to make them for the theaters, for the big screen. But sometimes there are stories that would benefit with a digital release because they might be really intimate, personal stories, and they may not necessarily require the communal viewing experience. So I think that is it has opened up a lot of possibilities for different kind of films. So pretty much decide is decided by what film I'm making at that time. But I stick to big screen as much as possible.
What do you think are, the popular genres today that are really working? And again, when you look at filmmaking, do you really look at a particular genre? And this is more from a commercial aspect. Okay,
Hmm.
this genre is working, let's make some genre like that, or is it like through from the heart? So two questions.
See, I think um, something for something to work, somebody has to do it first, right? And like for example, there's a film called Sayara, which is probably the biggest hit of the year so far, and it is made with two rank newcomers. It's a pure love story after a long time, a genre that everybody thought is done and dusted has suddenly resurged and become the biggest film of the year. So it's pretty much, I think it is when it comes to choosing which film to make. Uh, I can speak for myself is that I try to not go by what is working right now, but I try to go with what my heart is telling me. Because as a filmmaker, you end up putting like 2.5, 3 years sometimes in a film, and you need to be convinced. Your conviction is paramount, and unless that is not in place, if your choices are getting dictated by the market, chances are that you might lose interest 6 months down the line, and then the film is going to suffer because you're not giving your 200% to it. So at least I don't go by what is working, because honestly, nobody knows. Um, if people knew what works, then all films would be hit, blockbusters. So it's a business of uncertainty, and in such a business, I think it's very important that you just do what your heart tells you to do, and within that you can think of what can make your film more commercially appealing. How can, by changing what, will you be able to access and reach out to wider audiences. Um, so so for me, the commercial thought begins, rather the thought for commercial decisions comes in once I've picked a story. It's never about what story to pick, but it's more about how to tell it, I think. So
Nikhil, what are the various challenges you've faced while shooting a film, and what can really be improved, to ease filming in India?
So see, I can speak basis my experience, which has been shooting primarily in Maharashtra. And one challenge that I face, as a low budget, sometimes Marathi films don't have a very big budget. So to shoot in a city like Bombay or to shoot in some parts of Pune, the location costs tend to be pretty high. Where, for example, if you have to shoot in town in Bombay, you can't even think about it being a Marathi filmmaker. So maybe some kind of incentive on shooting at certain locations would really encourage smaller filmmakers to have to explore these beautiful locations that the state has to offer. uh, they have been trying to get the single window permission thing, but that is still, I don't know if it's still properly in action or not. But I think something like that would help, because when we shoot in smaller towns who have no experience of shooting, it becomes a nightmare to get location permissions. So a more statewide kind of a guideline or a set of guidelines which will be applied to the entire state when it comes to shooting, which gives people who don't have experience of shooting uh, uh, a sense of what needs to be done, to ease the time and process, to fasten the processes that right now take very long because these guys are not aware of what has to be done. So, issuing guidelines that would apply to an entire state, having a single window everywhere, um, providing incentives for smaller filmmakers to shoot in locations that are maybe too expensive for them to film in. Um, and incentives for shooting, whether it's tax benefits, stuff like that, would help definitely in Maharashtra to shoot.
Thank you, Nikhil, for sharing the passion and purpose behind your stories. Your
Thank you,
journey is
Loita.
a reminder to all of us that cinema can move and transform us.
Thank you, Loita. Thank you so much.